But Brandon, let's close out the podcast like we always do, making our picks for the upcoming week. And we got week number 12. And the one thing I want to throw out there as a disclaimer, because I didn't think about this until after we recorded last week, these rankings are going to be a little off. You might be, if you're listening to this like on a Thursday or a Wednesday, like, there's some teams that you messed up that are in the rankings. We record this on Monday. So now that they use the college football playoff rankings, by Wednesday, there are games in here that weren't in here on Monday. So I want to throw out that disclaimer that we're recording this on Monday. So some of the games might be different by later in the week, but we still pick them all the same. And the first one we've got is an ACC matchup, 11:20 a.m. start time, a little bit later than I'm used to at 11 o'clock. Don't worry, Mercer, Alabama has me covered on that one. But we've got Pitt and number 17 at the moment, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, a 15.5-point favorite. Who you got?
Definitely got to go with Virginia Tech in this one. They're at home. They're coming off a tough loss against Georgia Tech, but I think they get back on track this week against Pitt.
This is not the same Pitt team that you've noticed in years past. I don't think they have the upset bug in. I'm going to go with VT at home at Lane Stadium. Then we got a Big 12 matchup. Brandon, I would love to be able to pick my Fighting Illini. 2-8, 0-7 in the Big Ten. Would love the upset. I want to say last Friday, November 10th, Dave's birthday, was the anniversary of Juice Williams and that Illinois team beating the Ohio State Buckeyes. But Ohio State's a 40.5-point favorite. I got the Buckeyes in Columbus.
That's so many points. So many points. Yeah, Ohio State is not going to be challenged by an 0-7 team in the Big Ten.
And you say so many points. I look at it and I go, are we really that bad? The answer is yes.
Yes.
But I hate it. And then we've got really the game that's going to be so much of a blowout they don't even have a line down. Vegas said, no, you can't bet on this game. 5-5 Mercer, 10-0 Alabama, Roll Tide.
Alabama, absolutely. Like I've said, and I haven't even joked about it earlier in the season. You couldn't even click on Mercer and the thing. They were unclickable.
Yeah.
But Alabama's going to win this one, should win easily.
Those FCS teams, and plus when you look at the tickets for that game, I like how it says 491 available for $5.
Yeah.
Cheapest tickets, $5 for that one.
Sounds like a White Sox game.
Then we're going Big 12. We've got the TCU Horned Frogs, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. TCU only a 7-point favorite. Do they bounce back this week against the Red Raiders in Lubbock?
Well, TCU's coming off a tough loss. I mean, they really are. I thought that they would be able to play some good defense last week against Oklahoma, but Baker Mayfield is that good.
Showed that he was Heisman worthy.
Very much so.
Was Anderson Heisman worthy, the running back that had 4 total touchdowns?
Hey, he was great, but Baker Mayfield is the reason that offense runs so well. TCU, though, bounces back this week. Texas Tech has shown it can put up points. They have for a long time, but they also have shown they cannot win even if they can't put up those points. So I'm going to TCU.
Yeah, I'm going to go with TCU as well. Really, I didn't expect that game to be so much of a blowout than it actually was. I think TCU gets back on the map, hoping that the Cowboys lose one of their next 2 games so that they can have a shot to be in the Big 12 title game. I think TCU and Oklahoma State actually play each other in their final game, so that will be the tiebreaker there. Then we've got the interesting game. A lot of people bringing this one up. Miami, a 19.5-point favorite over Virginia, but a lot of people sniffing around, Brandon, smelling that rat poison. Do the Hurricanes get bit by the rat poison, or does the turnover chain show an appearance and they get the win over Virginia?
Well, we were supposed to have a nice rivalry game last week with Miami and Notre Dame, and we didn't at all. Miami showed that they are very good. Offensively, defensively. They showed they're a sound football team, and they showed that Mark Richt, pretty good coach. Miami's getting this win at home. They're going to 10-0.
I think 19.5 after last week is a slap in the face to this Hurricane team. I think they'll win by a little more. Now, I know they were playing up for last week. This is the interesting game. This is that elimination Saturday that Colin Cowherd was talking about. Now that you won that big rivalry game, can you still keep that momentum and not kind of take a week off against Virginia? I think they get the job done. What I want to ask you about Miami before we move on, though, is I've never asked you, what's your opinion on the turnover chain for Miami, where after a defensive player makes a turnover, they get the chain and they get to kind of pose with this big old chain that has the U logo on it.
I think it's pretty badass. I love it.
It's
awesome.
I love how the older people, like, analysis are like, at first I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like them showboating on the sidelines, but now I think I like it a little bit.
Showboating on the sidelines? How is that showboating?
Well,
come on. Seriously.
You know how it is.
I know.
That old white analysis that's like, you know what, this is how it should be. Don't want that on the field. I mean, how many people got mad at Johnny Manziel for doing this?
But that was on the field.
Yeah. This is also on the field, but this is on the sideline.
There's a complete difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's a complete difference. What you do on your sidelines, what you do with your players to motivate them is completely different than being a jackass on the field going like that.
I love the turnover chain, and I wish I had one of my own. So if you guys want to buy me a turnover chain, go ahead. I'd love to wear. Like, if a U fan got me a Miami turnover chain, I would wear it on every podcast. I would wear it every primetime podcast. I would wear the Miami turnover chain. I'm not even a Miami fan. But moving over into the conference I am a fan of, we've got the Michigan Wolverines, almost said Michigan State, that would have been bad. Michigan Wolverines and the Wisconsin Badgers. Badgers only a 7.5-point favorite. Can Michigan play upset in Camp Randall?
I don't think they're going to be able to. Wisconsin, they looked really good last week against Iowa, and this is an Iowa team that was coming off of a huge win against Ohio State. So Wisconsin at home, I've said it multiple times when they played at home, playing at Camp Randall is really, really tough. So I think Wisconsin gets the win, goes to 11-0, continues to make their case why, hey, guys, we may have not played the toughest schedule, but we're 11-0. Hello, look at us. Wisconsin.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin, but I really much want to hit that upset special button. And the reason why I'm not is I think Michigan loses this game. Next game is the one they play up for. Playing against Ohio State, that's going to be the game they play up for. Not Wisconsin. They'll play up for the rivalry game. I believe it's in Ann Arbor this year. Then moving on, we've got another SEC team playing a cupcake this week in Alabama. We've got Louisiana Monroe, the Auburn Tigers. Auburn, a 37-point favorite. Who you got?
I'm going to go Auburn.
No, you weren't going to go with the UML? You're not going Louisiana Monroe in this one?
ULM?
ULM. University of...
You said UML.
I fucked that up.
You don't even care who they are. Neither do I. Auburn.
Yeah, I'm going with Auburn as well. I'm sorry, Louisiana Monroe. I tried saying your initials right. I just screwed it up.
Ricky just can't read too well.
I think, aren't they the Warhawks? Is that their mascot? I'm literally going to look this up. Yeah, the Warhawks. Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. See, I knew that.
Yeah.
See, I'm redeeming myself by knowing the mascots.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That is one thing, fun fact about me. Most college football teams, you can throw it out at me, I'll be able to tell you what the mascot is.
Mercer.
Mercer, they're the Bears. The Mercer Bears.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. So I can't accurately
I think they're the Mercer Bears.
Check and see.
Yeah, Mercer Bears. I just looked it up. They're the Mercer Bears. You want to know what Youngstown State is? The Penguins. And you got the little penguin with the scarf and the hat on. But moving on, SEC matchup, we've got Mississippi State and Arkansas. Mississippi State, a 12-point favorite. Can Arkansas pull up the upset?
No. Mississippi State.
No.
Mississippi State last week, a lot of people would say they should have won, that they should have beat.
Well, yeah, if Nick Fitzgerald didn't and airmail it over the receiver's head.
But here's the thing, though. They played such a good game against Alabama. They're coming with a lot of momentum. It's been a very good season for Mississippi State. Some tough losses, but you take a look at some of those losses and even a blowout, 31-3 against Georgia. Look at what Georgia's done on this season. Mississippi State has a lot to be proud of, and Dan Mullen has a lot to be proud of. Dan Mullen may not be there at the end of the season. He may be somewhere better. Just a thought, but Mississippi State, big win.
Part of me wanted to hit the upset special on this matchup, but I can't. I got to go with the Bulldogs. I wanted to hit it, but then I'm like,
But then you thought...
I'm like, this is an Arkansas team that almost lost to Coastal Carolina. No, I'm going with the Bulldogs. Then we've got my favorite non-Power 5 team, the Central Florida Golden Knights, going up against Temple in Philadelphia. I find it funny that they have the Knights as a 14-point favorite because with them scoring 50 points per game, last week was 49, but I'll give it to them. With them scoring 50 points a game, that means if my math serves me correctly, they think that Temple's going to score about, what? About 36 points? Not a chance. This spread, I take UFC with the spread, they'll win by more than 14.
UFC? You're gonna take UFC in the fight? UCF, Central Florida.
See, I'm dyslexic today on those last two. A little bit dyslexia today, but I'm going with the Golden Knights to stay undefeated in the city of brotherly love. Then we've got SMU, no screwing up that one, going up against Memphis. Memphis is an 11.5-point favorite. Who you got? I'm going with the Tigres.
I'm going to take Memphis over UMS.
You said it back. Okay. It took me a while to understand. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? But you're taking Memphis as well?
Yeah.
Then we've got a Big Ten matchup in Evanston, Illinois. The Minnesota Golden Gophers against Northwestern. This is going to be my first upset special. We've got the Golden Gophers defeating Northwestern, who's a touchdown favorite.
I'm going Northwestern. They've looked like a pretty strong team this year. Even when they played against Penn State, they played a really good first half. Penn State ran away with it second half. But Northwestern, they've looked good. I think they get this win against Minnesota.
And the next game, this will be an upset special for Brandon, I'm sure. We've got the 5-5, the Citadel, going into Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, to play Clemson. You're going with the Citadel, right?
Oh, I mean, especially on the road, of course. Yeah. No, Clemson gets this win, no question about it. The big game, that comes next week.
Then we've got Big 12 action, Iowa State and Baylor. Iowa State, only a 9.5-point favorite. Got to go with the Cyclones in this one. Baylor, I know, got their first win of the season. Don't worry, it's not a trend. Cyclones with the win.
Yeah, Iowa State, again, even after a couple of losses in a row now, they still are a good team, and you cannot count them out. And it helps when you're playing Baylor, the worst team in the Big 12.
Then moving on, SEC, we've got Georgia, we've got Kentucky. Georgia's a 21.5-point favorite. Is there any chance that Georgia hits a skid and gets upset in this game?
Well, Kentucky's been a kind of a sneaky 7-3. I don't feel like they've been 7-3 this year, but they are, obviously.
Well, it's because they're 3-4 in the SEC.
They're 4-3.
Are they? Okay. I was looking at the 3 and 4.
Everything is backwards. Everything is
no.
backwards
I saw
today.
the 3 from the 7-3, the
sure
4.
You did. Okay.
I screwed up. They're 4-3. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Georgia.
People are like, you're an idiot. Get them over. Can't read tonight, folks. Cannot read on this
I'm sorry.
Monday.
It's just too funny. I'm going Georgia in this one.
Yeah, I am too. I almost, like, part of me is like, Kentucky could upset them. I think Jake from State Farm gets the Bulldogs on track, and they are going to be ready because they've already locked up their side of the SEC. Then we've got a independent battle. We've got Navy. We've got Notre Dame. Notre Dame, an 18.5-point favorite. Who you got in Notre Dame Stadium?
Notre Dame's going to be really happy to go home this week.
Really pissed off
happy.
after the last game, too.
Yeah. Very upset. But Notre Dame, they'll get the win this week. They'll go to 9-2. They'll try and keep any hope alive. But unfortunately, that hope is gone.
And that's why the hope is gone. Upset special. Navy wins by 3 in this one. Close one. Notre Dame just shell-shocked after that last one and get shocked by Navy at home. Then a Big 12 matchup. Another upset special for Brandon. We've got Oklahoma on their bye week playing Kansas. 36.5-point favorite are the Sooners.
Oklahoma, all the way.
You're not going to go upset special in this one?
No.
Not going to pick Kansas?
It was a close one.
How much money, how much money would you have to, the smallest amount of money would you have to put on Kansas to go Kansas? Would it only be a cent? Because usually it's like, how much money would you put on it? But obviously you're not going to put a lot on Kansas. So how low would you have to go if I said that was the bet? And you'd be like, fine, I'm okay with that one.
Zero.
Not at all. Not even a penny. You wouldn't even put a penny on that game.
Not a chance.
I'm going Oklahoma as well to beat Kansas. Then we've got Kansas State, Oklahoma State, going with the Cowboys, who are 20.5-point favorites. However, the Wildcats could upset them.
No, they definitely could. Kansas State has been a team that's been a little up, a little down this year, but I'm still going Oklahoma State. They've been a team that, for the most part, has been up this year. They've looked good. Mason Rudolph looked really good last week. I'm going Oklahoma State in the Cowboys to lasso up K-State.
Then we've got two Big Ten matchups. Or three of them. Let's do them in rapid succession. We've got Purdue and Iowa. Iowa's an 8.5-point favorite. Maryland, Michigan State. Michigan State's a 17.5-point favorite. And then Nebraska, Penn State. Penn State, a 26-point favorite. Who you got in these Big Ten matchups?
All right, first game. I'm going to go upset. I'm going to say Purdue will get the win. Iowa only an 8.5-point favorite. In that one, they're at home, but I think Purdue, they've been a sneaky team this year, 4-6, much better in the Big Ten, much improved. But I think Purdue, even without their starting quarterback, Purdue gets the win there.
I'll give you a hint for who I'm picking. Who do you think I'm picking?
You're going Iowa.
Going with Iowa in the best tradition.
Love that tradition.
In college
it's
football.
Absolutely great.
Maryland, Michigan State.
I'm going Michigan State in that one at home against Maryland. And then I will go with the Nittany Lions as well at home against Nebraska, who Nebraska's AD said that they are going to keep their head coach for the entire season. It's just out of respect, that they
not
keep
going to
him.
Butch Jones them, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go Michigan State, Penn State. Maryland, I will say, is a dark horse. Could be an upset special. I will put them on upset alert for this one. Then we've got LSU. We've got Tennessee. I think this is an easy one. LSU, they're 16.5-point favorite. I don't think that the Butch Jones-less Volunteers beat the Tigers.
LSU should roll against Tennessee defense. That is pathetic.
And then in our final three for this week, we've got the ACC matchup. NC State, Wake Forest. Wake Forest actually a 1.5 favorite over the Wolfpack. How about that, big guy?
I know. I'm going to go with NC State still.
Is that technically the upset? Are we going line? Or are we going?
I think we've been going line,
We're
right?
going line.
We ask that every week. Well, you ask it every week. Because we forget. We never remember. We never write it down. But I'm going to go NC State. So technically upset in this one if you're going based on the line, which I think we've been going throughout the season, unless, of course, we weren't.
Yeah, I got to go upset special. I don't think Wake Forest does it. I know Wake Forest has kind of been a tough team this year, or a sneaky tough team for some teams. I don't think the Wolfpack have a problem with them. And then the last two Pac-12 games, we've got UCLA, USC. The Trojans are 16-point favorites. We got the Utah Utes and the Washington Huskies. Washington, a 17-point favorite. I'm going with both the home teams, going Trojans, going Huskies. How about yourself?
Same here, going USC, going Washington.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to say about this week before I end the podcast is this week kind of sucks. On paper right now, it sucks. Like, this looks like you said, wow, this is the week where we, take a bye week, see what's going on, maybe go on vacation, then we come back for the Iron Bowl and all those good games that we'll have to end the season, like the Michigan-Ohio State game. I just think this whole entire week, now that I say this, it's going to be upsets galore, but I feel like it's going to be a pretty crappy week for college football with the matchups, looking at it on a Monday. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think.
And I just want to say something really quickly. Just noticing this on this right side of ESPN, Jake Trotter saying Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy, what would he do with the college football playoff? They should have 8. If you win your conference, you're in.
That's interesting.
So I know it gets into a different discussion.
Well, really quickly,
we can't really have, but
we're not going to have the discussion. But that would mean, just for semantics, 5 spots would be locked up by conference champions. You have 5 spots locked by conference,
and also
champions.
2 at-large berths. That's what this is mentioning.
5 there, 2 there, and then a wild card. Is that how we're looking? Interesting.
Not quite sure, but it does bring up an interesting point.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think about the picks, about anything we talked about in the podcast today. Also, our housekeeping. Go check out patreon.com. If you like what we're doing here, you like what we have here at MVP, you watch the videos, you subscribe, you share our videos, want to help a little bit more, patreon.com/most valuable podcast. $10 could get you on the podcast with us to talk about the topic of your choice. And then also go over to iTunes. It's the easiest thing. Don't even spend $1. Just give us that succulent 5-star rating. Primetime Podcast, Rick and Johnny Podcast, The Onside Kick, The Fast Break. Give us all that 5-star rating on iTunes. I want to thank you guys if you're on YouTube for watching this segment. Go and watch the other ones. I think, though, this is the first one, so you have to wait for those. And if you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, if you're on Spreaker, if you're listening to us on Alexa right now, hello, Alexa. I'm sorry if it responded to me. I want to thank you guys for either watching and or listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.